no one to call out. You know, I've been being called out, and I love it. You know, I will lead this division, and they can keep calling me out. I do believe I can go on and win some titles, and you know, get to the top of the division. You will see Chaos become champion in 2024 for sure.
That is unbeaten up-and-comer in the women's super flyweight division, Shannon Ryan of the United Kingdom, whose excitement is infectious, her enthusiasm convincing.
She means to rule the super flyweight division, become its face.
There were 4 champions at super flyweight. Irma Garcia holding the IBF, Ashley Gonzalez holding the WBC, Mizuki Hiruta holding the WBO, and Clara Lescurat holding the WBA, a division that has stood divided for years now, without a star, without a face, to not just draw attention to this division, but consolidate all 4 alphabet titles. Could young Shannon Ryan be the fighter?
Is she going to be the one to do it?
I've seen Shannon Ryan in action several times, on the boxer side of things, on the matchroom side of things, sporting a professional record of 6 wins with no losses, no draws, no recorded knockouts, not yet, managed by 258 Management. That's Anthony Joshua's management company, who also managed Ben Whitaker and Germany's own Sophie Alish. Several fighters. Shannon is one among them, and I think that young Shannon has the sauce.
Yes.
I do think she has the ingredients to rule this division.
Yes.
I believe her. Only 27 years old.
I think she's an import. I think that she crossed over from kickboxing into boxing.
I heard that somewhere. Not dissimilar from what we saw with Katharina Sanders and Rachel Ball, Raven Chapman, Emma Gungara. It's not unusual to see kickboxers cross over into boxing, and I believe that's the case with young Shannon Ryan, a very fast fighter, an athletic fighter, a combination puncher.
Well spoken.
It's not just ability. You can have ability. A lot of fighters and a lot of champions have ability, but not all fighters and not all champions have charisma. Not all fighters and all champions have flair, like Shannon Ryan has flair. She ain't just got the skills to pay the bills. There's something else there, something more. See shades of Alicia Baumgartner, who campaigns several divisions north, up there at 130. Shannon, she's down there at 115. And one fighter does remind me of the other, the confidence, the charisma.
Once again, you can have ability. You can have ability till you're blue in the face, but if you want to become a star in the sport of boxing, you're going to need more than just your 2 fists.
The talent pool runs deep at 115 pounds. At super flyweight it does, but very few fighters have star quality, star power, and ability, and Shannon Ryan is a perfect marriage, a perfect blend of those things. That's why I back her to go far, very far, and I don't think she'll stop at super flyweight. Distinct possibility that she might move up one day to 118, and I think 122 would be her ceiling, because she's really not a big woman, though she's very fast, very sharp. Rumor has it that the next time we see Shannon Ryan, it could be opposite the ring, Emma Dolan, for what will be the inaugural British super flyweight title, the first of its kind. Whoever wins will be the very first British women's super flyweight champion. There is history to be made, and Shannon can make it.
Emma Dolan is no slouch, though. She's pretty good, too.
It's going to be a good fight when the time comes, and a very good acid test for Shannon Ryan in what will be a battle of the unbeatens. If she can keep this energy, this momentum going, she could very well become the face of the women's super flyweight division. Let's see if she does.
And I do it twice in 2 separate divisions. I'm the fucking man, bruh.
Performance by Inoue, man. I mean, do good. I don't know about him being number 1 pound for pound fighter, though. We might want to pump the brakes on that.
I mean, he did undispute 2 separate divisions in 12 months. That's unheard of.
Crawford did it already, don't he, man? But
No. Crawford didn't. It took Crawford unified at 140. Then it took him almost 7 years to do it again, right? I mean,
but who did it first? Who did it first 2 times?
Ain't this better doing it twice in a year? Nah, you tripping. That's bias right there. You tripping.
No, you can say what you want to say.
I mean, if somebody tell me it's difficult to undispute, and I do it twice in 2 separate divisions, I'm the fucking man, bruh.
Nesta Gibbs absolutely hit the nail on the head. He's spot on. And the battle continues, the debate I should say, as to whether or not Naoya Inoue should be ranked ahead of Terence Crawford on the predication that he's a two-time undisputed champion like Terence, but he's more than just that. He's been a champion at more weights than Terence, and he beat more champions, took more belts from them than Terence. You're seeing a concentrated effort, mostly among Americans, who are pretending they're talking boxing, and really all they're doing is talking skin politics. I'm not gonna beat around the bush for you.
Nope.
I'm not gonna pretend I don't see what you're doing. What you're doing is all based on Terence being the same race and being from the same place as you. And you are not the subject. You are not the focus. And I don't care about you or your skin politics.
Ever since I updated the Ring IQ pound for pound list, and whenever I broach the subject,
I always get one or two guys in the comment section pretending they're talking boxing when all they're really doing is talking skin politics, because you were watching Naoya Inoue when he was down there at light flyweight, because you've taken stock of all the champions he's beaten: Hernandez, Narvaez, Rodriguez.
What belts did he win from who?
Saying things like there are no killers down there at those weights that Inoue has campaigned, but how the fuck would you know? You don't watch those divisions. You just now found out about Inoue. You can't give me an evaluation on him and who he's fighting when you haven't been watching them. How much fucking sense does that make? You're gonna review a movie that you didn't watch.
Review a book that you didn't read, or review a dish you didn't try. What kind of logic is this?
You hear the guy that's talking to Nesta Gibbs on the Boxing Voice, and you ain't gotta work too hard to figure out where he's from and what he looks like and what his real reasoning really is.
These guys are just pretending to talk boxing.
You're not actually talking boxing because you don't know enough about Inoue or who he's fought. You don't know enough about him to talk about him accurately and objectively. There's no objectivity in these assessments.
The jump from light flyweight up to super bantam is a bigger jump than the jump from lightweight up to welter. That's right. The jump Inoue made is a 14-pound jump. The jump Terence made is a 12-pound jump.
Many guys, as you see now, using creative methods to devalue the divisions at which Inoue has campaigned and the champions that he's fought because he's fought more of them, is little more than a veiled attempt at tribalism, because once it's established that the only reason you're saying what you're saying is because this guy's from the same race and from the same place as you, people are gonna ignore you.
Most people are gonna ignore you.
The guy you hear on the phone with the Boxing Voice and the people you see in the comments under my videos pretending to talk boxing when all it really is skin politics. If other people used the same judgment you're using for the same reasons, you would go as far as calling them prejudiced, biased, and bigoted. That they're giving preferential treatment to fighters on the predication that they have something in common with them. That's what you're doing. You don't fool anybody, and you're not going to get special treatment from me. You can rank whoever the fuck you want at number one for whatever reason.
Your problem is nobody cares.
They know what really motivates you, and no, you can't accuse me of the same thing because I'm not fucking Japanese.
Miyoki!
Am I rating Inoue because I have something in common with him because I'm Japanese and so is he because he's from the same place as me? No! I told you why I'm rating him at number one. Because he's been a champion at more weights than Terence, and he beat more champions than Terence, and he's been a two-time undisputed champion just like Terence.
I'm talking boxing. I don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Simple, really. Whatever governing criteria or hierarchy of thought governs your own pound-for-pound list is good enough for you. It should be in theory, but it's not. You wish to alter other people's perceptions, what other people think, because you demand special treatment.
It's not about Terence.
It's not about Terence. I support Terence. I've supported Terence for years. I bought the fight on Black Prime. The one with David Evanesian, the one everybody criticized him for. I shelled out my money to support that guy. I've supported him for years, and I know this is not about Terence. What this is about a lot of insecure Americans and their identity politics. This is the same thing we saw years ago when the people at ESPN and Ring Magazine rated Chocolatito ahead of Andre Ward, even though Andre Ward was not a 4-division champion, was coming off of inactivity, and was just starting to make his way to his second weight class. This is the same thing as that.
Am I telling you who should be at number 1 or number 2? No, I'm updating my own list, and you're coming here trying to wag your finger in my face and tell tell me what's what.
You can rate them in whatever order you want to rate them. I don't care, but you care how I rate them.
Because you're insecure and because you're making this about yourself.
In men's super middleweight news, David Morrell says, in the coming year, I want David Benavidez 100%, and I see no reason why the fight shouldn't happen. They're on the same side of the street, in the same division. It doesn't look like Canelo's going to be fighting David Benavidez in May, so why shouldn't David fight the other David? Why shouldn't he fight David Morrell? Unbeaten WBA super middleweight champion David Morrell Jr. delivered another sensational moment for fans in his adopted hometown as he blasted out Sanaa Egbeko in round 2 in the final Showtime main event at the Armory in Minneapolis. Thank you to my fans for coming to the fight, said Morrell. I'm teaching everyone who is number one. I'm ready. I tell everybody, my team, my family, I'm looking forward to next year. For now, I feel happy. Right now, I'm going to my house for Christmas and focus on the next year.
David Benavidez's small cult of followers hate whenever you bring up the name of David Morrell. But if Canelo Alvarez doesn't fight David in May, he's got to fight somebody. So who better than David Morrell?
You know, that bitching to me about it, bitching and moaning in the comments under videos I upload to YouTube is not going to force Canelo to fight David Benavidez in May. So if he doesn't fight him in May, David has to fight somebody.
Whether you like it or not.
Everybody came out to my fight and it's still very exciting, said Morrell. This is the first time my dad and my mom came to watch me fight, so it's really special to have them here. It's my night, it's my time, it's my year, and I'm looking forward to a good 2024. After the fight, Morrell repeated his long-held desire for a showdown against fellow unbeaten super middleweight power puncher David Benavidez. In 2024, I want to fight Benavidez, said Morrell, 100%, and as stated, I see no reason why the fight shouldn't happen next. That if Canelo Alvarez doesn't fight David Benavidez, what is he gonna do? Sit around waiting for the phone to ring for most of the year? He has to fight somebody, and there are not that many people left to go around.
His fans are a bunch of fucking weirdos. They think that unless it's Canelo, he shouldn't fight.
Go ahead and sit around for most of next year and see what that gets you. David Morrell, who's targeting David Benavidez, he believes that a fight with Canelo would be more difficult than a fight with David Benavidez, and I share in that sentiment. I agree. 25-year-old David Morrell, he isn't picky. As long as his next opponent brings some sort of name recognition, he's more than willing to face them. In a perfect world, however, Morrell would rather take on either Benavidez or Alvarez in terms of who he believes would give him a more difficult time in the ring. Morrell thought long and hard before giving his answer. It's a hard question, admitted Morrell recently, but I think maybe Canelo.
And once again, I agree.
The would-be Eddie Futches and Jack Blackburns of boxing Twitter, Canelo Alvarez's biggest critics, like to think of him as being a simple fighter, very simple and easy to understand. The same people that were telling you he was avoiding Jermell Charlo.
For how many years did you hear them say that Canelo's avoiding Jermell? He's scared of Jermell. He's scared of the Charlo brothers.
Now that the fight has come and gone, and Canelo won the fight in lopsided fashion, oh, you'll be hard-pressed to get them to admit they were the ones saying that stuff. These guys don't know how to interpret boxing. All they know how to interpret are skin politics. The Canelo Alvarez fight is a much more complex fight than the Benavidez fight because Canelo's got a lot more experience and a lot more rounds in the bank, a lot more ways of fighting a fight, catching and shooting behind the high guard while applying pressure, fighting on a swivel, head movement, upper body movement, his shot selection. He knows how to disguise his hooks. He tilts off to one side and loads up the left hook, and you don't know if it's going to be a left hook to the head or a left hook to the body.
So you don't know what to protect. Should you protect your head or should you protect your body? And while you're trying to figure that out, he lands that shot. He lands that punch.
Canelo Alvarez's approach is a lot more layered than he's given credit for, whereas with David Benavidez, what you see is what you get. A very big guy, very big, heavy guy as far as super middleweights go, who's going to march forward, throwing combinations, throwing punches and bunches. That's really all there is to it. And that's not saying that he's not a formidable fighter. To some degree, he is a formidable fighter, and you do need certain ingredients to beat him, but the more complex fight is the Canelo Alvarez fight, because not only is he a strong puncher, like David is a strong puncher, he's a better boxer.
Being honest with you, I don't even think David is all that strong. Didn't Dimitri Bivol say that the harder puncher of the two, having shared the ring with both men, didn't he say that Canelo's the harder puncher?
Canelo Alvarez has better defense than David Benavidez. I think that goes without saying. And his shot selection is a lot more refined. His shots are a lot shorter and tighter, harder to read and harder to anticipate than what you get from David Benavidez. David's fans seem to have it in their head that unless it's Canelo Alvarez that David's going to fight next, he shouldn't fight. But for a guy who's been campaigning at super middleweight as long as David has, inactivity does not suit him. He needs to fight someone between now and September, now and the time that he finally does get Canelo in the ring, because if he doesn't fight...
If he doesn't fight, that weight isn't going to get easier to make. You know, the only real thing that David has going for him is that he's very big for super middleweight. That's it.
He boils all the way down to 168, and then once he rehydrates, he's practically a cruiserweight, which is a common practice in the sport today, so I'm not going to pigeonhole him for that. I'm just highlighting that that's the only real advantage that he has. That's what makes him so formidable at 168 pounds, and sooner or later, that practice backfires.
That's what happened to Jarrett Hurd years ago.
Jarrett Hurd, former unified champion at junior middleweight, just like David Benavidez. One of these guys to where you look at him and you say, how on earth is this guy getting down to that weight? And he was doing it for a while, he was doing all right, and then out of the clear blue sky, all of his punch resistance was gone. In the Julian Williams fight where he got thrashed, what was an otherwise durable fighter that could take a shot could no longer take a shot, could no longer take a punch, and he was getting a shellacking from a guy who's not even known for power. That could happen to David Benavidez, because he's been making this weight for a very long time, and it's not going to get easier the more time passes.
You know, that's why he needs to stay active, and that's why he needs to fight.
So that if he's active and he's fighting on a regular basis, he's at his fight weight on a regular basis, and it won't be as hard to make. You better fight somebody in between now and September.
Stop pussyfooting around. Fight David Morrell.
Are you scared of that guy or something?